Perfect. Okay, so it's okay. Now it's recorded. Thank you for that, Krista. Welcome everyone. My name is Alex, and today we're going to jump into this great world, what it's called ClimAccelerator, and from AIT Climate-KIC, this great initiative. So let's lose no more time. So we're going to start with the main reason that we are here today. And today we are here because we are looking for new partners. As Climate-KIC, we're looking for new people, new organizations to join this initiative and cooperate on the ClimAccelerator program. And as you can see in the agenda, there will be a short introduction from Morten about EIT Climate-KIC, what we do and what we offer in general as a team. Then we will jump into a bit more in depth about what is a ClimAccelerator with Krista, and then I will take the practical side with the application and the whole procedure for the call. As you saw, the deadline for this just to keep that in mind, the deadline for the whole program is the 16th of September, but it's something that we'll touch upon later as well. So now, thanks again. I'm passing it to Morten to introduce us to this great world of Climate-KIC. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Alex, and hello and welcome everyone. Again, if you have any questions, you're welcome to put them in the chat, or also you can ask them afterwards. So I will just give a short introduction who is EIT Climate-KIC for those of you who do not know us. So we were created back in 2009 as one of the KICs, that is Knowledge Innovation Communities. And we, of course, focusing on the transition towards a more climate positive world. We are what is considered the European leading climate innovation agency. And our focus is not just on small incremental changes. We want to create system innovation. And we do that by not just focusing on each individual SME or startup, but actually trying to put this together into what we call system change. And here we have, of course, both places, people, sectors, and value chains together. So we do not do this only on our own. We do that together with partners, and there we see you as a very important part of this, because we need, of course, at a local level also to connect these different solutions and to build the different local skills and capabilities in order to create this mind shift. We have a wide or extensive partner network. You could say we are working together with corporates, with cities. We are, of course, at a national and country level, pan-European and global. So we cover more or less the whole spectrum of different partners. As you can see here, there are quite some of them that are very known brands. Not all of them are easy to work to. We sometimes consider them even startups because they can be as troublesome as startups in order to get them to actually run in the right direction and create this transition towards a better climate positive world. So from the beginning of this year, we have this overview of where our partners are currently located. We have quite a few in Europe, Africa, of course, and then we have also been scaling in the Latin America, and we are also having currently an open call for new partners in Asia. So a little bit about our track record. These are since 2017. We have quite interesting numbers here, both in terms of how many startups or climate positive startups that we have supported, but maybe more important, as you can see in the left bottom side, that we have been and are collaborating with more than 320 formal partners. And within this, we have been able to create more than 10,000 full-time jobs doing since 2017. So it's more the full-time jobs that I'm personally very proud of that we have been part of creating. So a little bit in terms of what we are offering as Climate-KIC within entrepreneurship. So we have 3 different areas where we're focusing. That's the first one is capacity building. And this is where we see partners like you that are entrepreneurship support organizations that are delivering parts of the programs. But we have quite a huge toolbox, both of tools and methodologies that we are then by technical support supporting our partners with. The venture scaling is, of course, mainly in this case focusing on the startups and scale-ups. How can we make sure that we are supporting the right startups, but also attracting capital to the startups to continue their journey? Our main focus is on the climate and, of course, here also the innovation within the CO2 savings. The last part is also within the innovation clusters. We see the need in some of the ecosystems to continue to build and scale some of these ecosystems. And here again, we work with multiple stakeholders, but we often see that the startups are a starting point for triggering this transition into more systemic focus. So looking from our, putting it very linear in what we call a pipeline of climate innovation, we have the classical ideation and incubation stages. Within Climate-KIC, we have Climate-KIC, Climate Launchpad. We are aware that there are a lot of different other programs that are focusing on these initial areas. Today we are focusing on the acceleration with the Climate-KIC. And in order to not just leave the startups on their own after the Climate-KIC, we have introduced a program called the Climate Safe, where we are offering after and doing the program to sign service as an equity agreement with us, and we continue to scale them with different opportunities. One that I would like to mention here is the EIC program Fast Track, where there is grants to the startups as well. We also have the investment pipeline, where we have a marketplace with 400 plus investors that are looking for climate positive startups. And then we are in the process of setting up the 1.5 fund for investing into climate positive startups. We were supposed to be launching it earlier this year, but due to different delays, it's expected to be launched here in autumn. And it is our keen purpose here to support the startups that have the innovative solutions to continue that journey. Next slide. So putting it very simply, we scale our impact by supporting the entrepreneurs and startups. We do that by different tools that we have available. And we do that together with the different partners and stakeholders within our networks. This is here we also see you as an entrepreneurship support organization. And then the big question is often who is then going to fund this? We see that in the local ecosystem, there's more and more funding available for supporting innovative green solutions and also being part of this. So here again, we do not have just one potential funder. We see a large wide range of different organizations that are keen to support in this process. So I will leave the floor to Krista.
Yes, thank you. Just putting on my microphone. Hello, everybody. Thank you, Morten. So Morten just gave us sort of an overview of how climate entrepreneurship fits within Climate-KIC. And I will go into a bit more detail, specifically on one of our flagship accelerator programs, which is the ClimAccelerator, which is the reason you are all on the call this afternoon. And so you've already met myself, Morten, and Alex, but we actually have quite a large team working to support you and indirectly working to support your startups. We have an entire team dedicated to impact, and as well a team dedicated to investment. So this is helping the startups scale, both from a monetary perspective, but also having them understand what the impact of their solutions and services are. So to give you a brief overview of this program, it has been running now for over 10 years, and we've shaped a methodology since then, which provides the startups with resources, knowledge, and a network to successfully kickstart and scale their climate solutions. So we've delivered over 100 programs worldwide and scaled over 2,500 startups with this program. To give you a little bit more detail of how it is typically structured, we do a 3-stage model, starting with business model development. So this is the earlier stage startups who are refining and developing their specific USPs and their business model. Stage 2 is for slightly more mature startups where teams focus on acquiring their first customers. Here they receive continued support from coaches and mentors. And then stage 3 is later stage startups. This is the final stage that prepares them for investment rounds and scaling. And we support them with preparation for negotiations with potential investors. So this is probably what you are wondering. What does it take to run a ClimAccelerator program? Luckily for you, we give you all the tools that you need. The big points of it are, though, we expect that you integrate the ClimAccelerator branding into your materials so that we are singing sort of from the same songbook, that all of these programs look and feel cohesive. We also encourage you to use as much of the core DNA as possible. So this 3-step model. Also to share your startup's data, and especially their climate impact data, to connect with your local community, connecting your local community to our global network, and also sharing best practices with other ClimAccelerator organizers. And why you should do it? Well, there are many reasons why. Some of the reasons are listed here. But the big benefit of running a ClimAccelerator program is that you become part of this bigger, globally recognized brand. It's affiliated with the EU and ourselves, EIT Climate-KIC. We provide you with all of the tools, handbooks, coaching and mentoring that you need to successfully run a program in your own local context. We also, like I mentioned before, have a team dedicated to climate impact. So we provide you with the impact tools so that your startups can assess and validate their products and services. You become part of our EIT Climate-KIC community and gain access to a huge source of startups. There's also lots of opportunities for peer-to-peer learning and exchanges and sharing best practices with current and past organizers. And as Morten mentioned, we do have scaling assistance and post-program support as well through some of the funds and the Climate Safe program. So these are some of the typical learning modules that you will have access to. As we mentioned before, Climate-KIC is really interested in a larger systems innovation change. So we're not looking at small siloed changes, but really how do we create an innovation climate ecosystem that has rapid and transformative effects. And so some of the modules listed here are related to this in terms of understanding better systems thinking. We also have a lot of modules around gender and gender mainstreaming, which I'll talk a little bit more in depth later. And so essentially, these are the modules that will help you and guide you to deliver a program successfully in your own context. And then we also have modules for startups. So this is everything from more climate and the scientific tools to, of course, business development, impact, circularity, and other topics even ranging as far as mental health. To deep dive a little bit more into the climate impact assessment, this is really something that sort of sets our program apart as an accelerator, because we are really interested in tangible impact of the startup. And you can't do this without data, of course, and measuring. So we've developed a suite of services for just that. This is measuring, forecasting, and monitoring a wide range of environmental and social impact measurements. This is everything from emissions mitigation potential to how circular startup's product is, for example. And so the pre-assessment is obligatory for each ClimAccelerator program, and it's up to you to then share the results with us. We have a dedicated team member to assist you with this process. And then the full assessment is available for all climate safe startups. So any startups that end up signing climate safe agreements with us will have access to the full assessment, which is a deeper dive into this topic with workshops and one-on-one coaching. And this is really valuable for the startups to have this information, to have this validated report to then share with investors, because it does show a quantifiable measurement of how their product and service compares to other ones on the market. Gender and more broadly, diversity, equity, and inclusion is also a big topic for our work. And we ask and encourage our partners to also integrate some of these strategies into their program and how they run their program. We have a Gender Smart Handbook for climate programs, which is a great tool that you can use to try to incorporate a more gender lens into your program. So when we talk about this, we're speaking, for example, eliminating gender bias in your selection process, to increase opportunities for access and finance to women-led ventures. What we're trying to do is target at least 35% of women-led startups as participants in the program, trying to reach 50%, growing to this year after year. And we are trying to encourage the inclusivity of non-binary and other marginalized genders. We have this handbook also available newly in print for startups as well, so that they can start thinking about gender mainstreaming, as we call it, at the onset of when they are starting to start their journey. Next, we have branding and promotion, which is my wheelhouse as somebody who's on the communications team. We require a clear co-branding approach. And this is quite easy to follow because we have a branding guideline for you and a digital toolkit and many templates for you to use and to promote on your channels and through your networks. So we are here to help increase your reach and visibility. We will use and leverage our network to promote your open calls. We have a dedicated LinkedIn channel. We have an internal startup alumni group on which is what we call on Climate Hive. We have newsletters and many other channels, for example, our programs page. And we are always here to also help support through storytelling, whether that's writing articles or interviewing startups or promoting big wins or milestones that you reach. And that is all on ClimAccelerator. I will now hand it over back to Alex to give you some of the more technical details on the application process.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Krista. Hopefully, so far you get all the full picture of why we're doing this and why this program is such an important element for us, not only for Climate-KIC, but in general for climate action. But now we'll jump into a bit more, as Krista said, in the practical side, the application, the procedure, and what you need to know prior to your application. One thing before jumping in is that Felipe asked in the chat if the presentation will be available afterwards. That is true. We will share it with everyone and the recording as well. So yeah, just sit there and keep all the questions in the chat later. Great. So let's start. The first and one of the most important elements in this action, it's the theme. We have identified, and the way that we have been working so far in order to select our partners is to choose 1, 2, or sometimes, as you can see in your screen, 3 main themes for the accelerators. Of course, there are multiple themes: agriculture, energy, blue economy, that are super important in terms of the climate impact and the sustainable development. But for this round, for this call, we're looking for partners to work on these 3 and these 3 main sectors, but also the subsectors in this area. For example, in agriculture, we're looking for partners in order to support startups within the regenerative farming, sustainable supply chains, soil health enhancement, for example, subsectors, and the same thing and the same principle applies for the industrial decarbonization and blue economy. Of course, if you have a strong proposal, if you are well fitted in an ecosystem and your theme goes one step beyond, we are also more than happy and available to discuss about integrating a new subsector in a potential program as well. So after the theme, it comes the organizers criteria. In other words, your IDR profile. The most important, of course, is that you are required to operate within an EU member state, one of the list, or the utmost regions, or even the 3rd countries associated to Horizon Europe. You can open the link once you have the full presentation. There you can see the full list of countries that are eligible for this call. Then this is not only the one and only requirement, but also about your profiles, what you're doing. Our partners tend to be have experience either in accelerators, in running accelerators, facilitating accelerators, or incubators. You can either be venture builders or universities and research institutions. I think we have someone from a university here, if I'm not mistaken. So all these different organizations are eligible to apply, but the most important element I would say in this slide is the last one, and it's about the joint consortium applications. We strongly encourage you and strongly recommend to submit a proposal as a joint consortium. Maybe you can find a partner in the local ecosystem in order to help you, not only with the fundraising, as we'll discuss in a bit, but also delivering and the practical side of the program. Of course, we also need to make sure that we know what we're going to work with, their profiles, and what they're doing. So this is the first. And then there are only 2 slides, hopefully it's not too much, about the obligations, everything that you need to know, that you need to do. The first one is integrate the ClimAccelerator branding, as Krista already mentioned before, all your materials, and for that reason, we have developed these specific templates and the guidelines. Everything is set and waiting for you. The second one, which is also connected to the first point, is that you need to offer a standalone program. That being said, with a unique name and a scope theme, and here we have an example of ideal name of a ClimAccelerator initiative. It reflects both the theme, the ruler in this case, in other case might be energy, for example, the name of the country or the territory, Spain, and then of course the strong branding of the ClimAccelerator. So we need to have a standalone program, a new program that you're going to offer either yourself or with some within the consortium, as we saw. Regarding the timeline, we understand all the different challenges that they are out there, especially around fundraising, especially around to fund the resources and allocate them properly. So we expect from the ClimAccelerator organizers to commence in late 2025, 2024, or even the beginning of 2025. And what we mean about when we say commence is open the call. It needs to be an open call in order to select all these startups. Speaking of, there is also one more requirement about that, which is to support a minimum of 7 startups per program, per batch, in order to deliver climate positive impact at scale. Besides that, there are 5 sub requirements about the ideal profile of the startups. The first one, maybe you can, yeah, thanks, Krista. The first one is that the startups must be incorporated and registered. We, of course, want to work with entrepreneurs, but we want to work with startups that have been established within the last 5 years, that they are serious about what they're going to do, that they're serious about the scale and how they're going to achieve it. So this is the ideal profile of the startups. Besides that, we need a minimum TRL4, the technology validated in a lab, in other words, in order to utilize and take the best out of the 3-stage model that Krista introduced us before. And in terms of the bit more practical stuff, we need at least 2 team members in order to actively participate in the program and make sure that always someone is there. Of course, that's also something that it's strongly dependent on the density of the program. Like in this case, the programs can be either weekly, bi-weekly, or even monthly in some cases, but we need to make sure that team members are available. So that was done with the first slide. The second slide, there are only like 4 or 5 more, but it's not that much. The first one is the climate impact, strongly connected to the climate impact pre-assessment and assessment that we saw before. And for that reason, as we said, we have like a dedicated team member to help the startups with all the impact calculations post the webinar that we, of course, we're going to deliver about that from all the startups to the program. That's one. The second one, that goes with you and that lies with you, and it's about the core data about the accepted startups and feedback about the program. The first one, it's a bit more about who are the startups, where they're coming from, if they're human-led or not, what's the main sector, country registration, and so on. And the second one, it's overall feedback about the program, what you can do. And the main reason behind that is that with almost most of our partners, I would say, we tend to continue our collaboration and scale the program even more. Then it's organize a demo day at the end of the program to showcase achievements and wrap up the event. We can always connect it, of course, to the last stage of the investor readiness that we saw before. We can invite also investors. We have a pool of that. We can also help you with invitation and the facilitation as well in some cases, in order to bring everyone together and showcase our achievement. The last one is the community and brand. Krista already touched upon that. It's to increase the reach of the ClimAccelerator, promote it in your local context, ecosystem, social media, everywhere. The last thing, it's the official communication. All official communication must be conducted in English. That applies mostly to the social media posts, to the main posting, to the main milestones or achievements about the program, the demo day as well. But we understand that if some of the mentors or some of the facilitators in a potential webinar or workshop wants to facilitate the whole session in the local language, we are more than welcome, but our communication and official communication will be in English. Then it's a bit more about our side. It's a bit more about how we're going to evaluate your proposals and what we ideally want to see, so you can have a strong idea of what information you should include in your application process. The first two, which are extremely connected between them, it's the excellence and the impact. The first one, the excellence, it's about clarity of the objectives. We have a plan, we want to support these kind of startups, and to which extent the proposed plan is ambitious, is realistic as well. The second one, as I said, it's the impact, which is how, which is like how you need to show to us how you're going to achieve all these outcomes that you said before, and how impactful the program will be, given, of course, the needs and the challenges of your local ecosystem. The last one, the last one of the first part, it's the uniqueness, which is the specific added value of the program, strongly connected to what I said before about the impact, how are you going to address all these local challenges, and if there is a competitor in the area or not. The last two, it's the EIT Climate-KIC portfolio strategic fit, and this is how if we're moving towards the same direction, if you have the same goals, the same targets as EIT Climate-KIC, and between your targets as well. You can read more about our strategic agenda and what we call knowledge triangle integration. You can find this link in the presentation afterwards. But I want to stick a bit more on the last one, which is the financial sustainability. The financial sustainability, we have seen from all these years that it's the number, the alpha and omega of the program. We want to see from your application that you have the capacity to cover their expenses, allocate resources, and demonstrate that you are ready for the program, and demonstrate that you have fundraised, or you have like a strong plan about how to fundraise for this program. Unfortunately, for this round, for this year, EIT Climate-KIC does not provide any funds about the pure execution of the program. So that being said, we need to make sure that we have a strong plan, that you have a strong plan about the fundraising, about all this resource allocation. EIT Climate-KIC will help you with that, either with a recommendation letter or someone from my investment team. In some cases, we're more than happy to bring you in touch with some local investors or potential partners in order to co-fund and co-deliver, asterisk to what I said before about the joint applications. So we're more than happy to provide all this, assist to provide all this help in order to do so. As you can see, all of them are mandatory. All 5 of them are mandatory. There is an internal threshold of 3, so you need to score above that in this sense. The last one, it's the voluntary revenue share. In order to deliver all these elements, in order to deliver all these great tools and this initiative of the ClimAccelerator program, at least EIT, what we have as EIT Climate-KIC, we are responsible for doing those. It requires some expenses, some resources, and in order to do that, we need help from you. And we have came up without what we called, with that mechanism, what we called voluntary revenue share. As you can see, there are like 4 main scales, starting from the 25, less than 25K until like above 100K, and it's strongly connected to your annual program turnover. This is just an indication. Of course, bilateral agreement can happen and hopefully will happen between us about the program, but in general, this is something that we strongly recommend. It's not something that we're going to make money of that. We don't going to make revenue for that. It's something just like to show a good sign of collaboration between us in order to scale and go even further about the program. So next steps, that is pretty much that is all with our presentation. Next steps, it's the application deadline. As we said at the beginning, it's the 16th of September at 9 a.m. in the morning. And the assessment will be based on the evaluation criteria that I explained above. And what happens with everyone, with the ones that will score above 3 or not in all categories, will have an introductory call to meet you, to get to know you, to discuss about the plan and how realistic that is. But a comprehensive feedback will also be given to all the rejected ones. And of course, lastly, with the ones that we will see that we are a good fit, with the ones that will be selected, there will be 1 or 2 onboarding sessions And of course, we will welcome you, we'll give you access to this, what we call Entrepreneurship Knowledge Hub, with all this great content, tools, handbooks, and everything that Christian Morten already explained above. So I think that is all from our side. The floor is yours now for all the questions, potential questions that you might have. Please do us now, don't be shy, as Krista said in one of the other sessions before. Please do that, ask us now, everything either in chat or please open your mic, your camera, and introduce. Thank you.
Maybe we start with the questions in the chat. We have one from Elam, which is what is the difference between the support provided by EIT and the EIC Business Accelerator? I think Morten, you mentioned this.
Yeah, so the EIT Climate Accelerator, that's what we're focusing on today, and all the different tools